Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm Hannah Elliott.
And I'm Matt Miller. This is Hot Pursuit. Coming up on today's podcast, we'll talk Rivian. The EV maker has hit a few snags lately, including announcing some job cuts, but I finally got the chance to drive the R1S. I'm like the last person on the planet to drive this big, expensive, beautiful electric SUV. That's all on the way on Hot Pursuit. But first, Hannah, you just got back from Munich, and you are here with me in New York City.
Yes, live in living color. It's the best way. It's so good to be here in studio.
I missed you. It's been too long.
Likewise.
I'm really glad to see you. What was it like at the last auto show left?
I think we can call the IAA, the IAA, the last auto show. It's really interesting. They do a great job of sort of incorporating that whole show throughout the city of Munich. So a lot of it is accessible to the public. Each automaker creates these huge outdoor stands with their new cars, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes. They all have these big outdoor exhibits that they set up. And then there's also a conference center part where journalists like me go in and, do executive interviews. So it's good. It's nice. It's also polarizing. There are scheduled protests of people who are unhappy about European transport in general next week. And someone made the comment, look out for any flying tomatoes. So
wait, people are unhappy about transport? They just want to stay in one spot at all times or what?
I think it's more about the idea that, where electric regulations are going in the EU specifically.
Right.
That's a very polarizing thing, especially when...
Because they're being peeled back or because they want to get away from ICE engines faster?
Because they want to get... Actually, they don't like the fact that EVs are being pushed.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
this is like
the other side.
Exactly. This is a mobility conference, right, not necessarily a car show. So they're really trying to say, this is, it's all about the future of mobility, which actually means within the conference center walls, there are a lot of vendors from China. I saw all of these Chinese brands I had never even heard of before. And there are lots of suppliers. It's kind of like a SEMA in a way, too. So
I wish I could go to SEMA.
I think you will one day.
I would love to go. To me, that would be the most exciting because I love the aftermarket stuff. I love modding cars. I love, buying accessories. And I guess that's the place to go.
This is your spiritual home. You love it.
But back to Munich, the releases I saw were kind of EV releases. We talked about the GLC, the new GLC with Ola Källenius last week. We've talked about the iX3, the BMW Neue Klasse, which is about as traditional and boring as you could get for a vehicle launch, right?
Well, some people are calling it really edgy and forward thinking,
please. It just looks like an X3, except for the electric version.
I think for the Germans, they think, there was a lot of talk about the Neue Klasse in general being really an edgy, strong step forward. And honestly, I'm with you. I don't see that at all.
Yeah,
these are
BS.
Incremental changes at best. Even the GLC, it has a different grille, kind of, but it still looks exactly like the old one.
I get that under the skin, there are important changes, a lot more range, much faster charging, but the look of those vehicles isn't going to rock anybody's world.
No.
And the Neue Klasse, the original concept vehicle that they put out, now that was edgy, and I initially hated it, as we discussed, and now I think it's kind of giving me 2002 vibes, which are cool. So I'm liking it more and more. But those consumer hatchback, big station wagons, those aren't edgy.
No, these are completely ubiquitous especially in Europe. One piece of good news that Mercedes announces, the Mercedes volume control on the steering wheel, how traditionally it's been the roller knob that you it feels really nice under your thumb. And then they went to the haptic
You just
thing,
touch, you just move your thumb up.
Which nobody liked. They announced for the GLC they're bringing back the rolling knob, which is great. And it's a rare case of when an automaker actually pivots and goes backward. by special request.
Thank goodness that they do that. It's like Cracker Barrel. They listen. We didn't like the new logo.
We said no.
We don't want the redesigned stores. No. Even President Trump cares about that. It's like top of his list of things. Anyway, I liked the Mercedes volume control in theory, and I liked the way it looked, but it just didn't work very well. By the way, speaking of incremental changes, did they also show the new 911 Turbo?
They did, the 992.2.
It's got like two electric turbochargers, right? So it's got a little tiny battery. It's like a GTS Plus.
Yeah, to me, honestly, it looks exactly the same.
Identical,
I would be really hard pressed, and I wouldn't even put any money down on being able to tell the difference between the 991 and 992, or dot one and dot two.
By the way, the thing that differentiates the turbos from plain Jane 911 is the big intakes in the rear wheel wells, right? And then the little tail on the back.
But not necessarily.
Do they not all have that big hole in the rear wheel wells? Because I don't love that look, and I'm not sure. Is it necessary?
This is wading into the whole turbo conversation, where turbo is a marketing badge now at Porsche. Turbo is an actual variant line. So every Porsche now turbo 911 has a turbocharger. They're of
course.
So
of course.
The term turbo doesn't actually necessarily mean anything mechanical. It's it's a marketing badge.
Right, and the Taycan obviously has no turbo.
Exactly, and they're still calling.
And they call the top end. That's super annoying. I wonder who at Porsche came up with that idea. Who was like, there's not going to be a turbocharger in any of these EVs, but we're going to call the best one a turbo. And all of these ICE cars are going to have turbochargers, but we're not going to call any of them turbo except for the top one.
Only some of them.
Who was that? Was it Bluma? Was it Detlev?
I would love to know.
I would like to know also.
I would, I would be so surprised if we ever knew. I don't know. Someone in marketing, probably.
Well, the thing is, I would love the turbo power and the turbo ease, and one time I ran into Wolfgang Porsche either at the IAA in Munich years ago or in Geneva, and I asked him what his favorite 911 was, and I was so hopeful that he was going to say something really cool like the Steve McQueen,
Sure.
But he said, whatever the newest turbo is, that's my favorite. And I was kind of bummed out about that. But
that seems like a sales answer.
Well, but also it's like the most developed, most driver-friendly, fastest, most powerful. The only thing I don't like about it, because I like the ease and luxury of it. I don't like the extra looks, like the holes in the wheel well or the tail. Like, I just want a smooth 911 that's kind of understated. And I
kind of like the extra looks. To me, they make the smoother ones seem a little bit boring and a little bit too flat somehow.
Well, by the way, didn't you guys drive yours to your 991 turbo to Monterey to try and get more miles on it?
Yes.
Have you got 200,000 yet?
No, I think we're at 197 and a half or so. And in fact, next weekend, we're going to be driving that car to Denver from LA in a day, specifically to add miles. It's my mom's 70th birthday. And so we're doing that drive, number one, so we can bring the dog. But number two, so we get miles on the 991.1.
You're bringing a 911 turbo on a trip from LA to Denver so that you can bring your German Shepherd.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Wouldn't
that
you?
makes sense. Yeah.
This is very important.
I get it. Well, happy birthday, Mrs. Elliott. And I'm so proud of you guys for racking out the miles on that vehicle. Coming up, we're going to talk Rivian. I'm Matt Miller for Hannah Elliott. This is Hot Pursuit from Bloomberg Radio in New York City. Let's talk about the Rivian R1S. And I am the last person on earth to drive this. A bunch of guys in my neighborhood, a bunch of dads already have one. I know you've driven at least two of these vehicles.
Got a flat wheel in the truck version.
You got a flat?
Yeah, I got it was on an off-road driving course. Yes,
so
I did.
With other people.
It was with other people. Yeah, it was in a rather controlled environment, and I did halfway change it.
Well, that's
myself.
awesome. You know what? I don't think I've changed a wheel. Actually, no, I did. I changed a wheel recently on a giant like GMC Yukon that had 24s.
I remember you. I think you told me about that. That's
and
pretty
that took
cool.
forever. That was not satisfying.
I mean, you need a lot of leverage on that crowbar to get. I mean, what did you use to get the lug nuts?
It was
off?
Not easy. It took me like an hour, and I felt like a total failure. But I remember years ago, I changed a wheel on a Bug in Vienna.
Oh,
and
that's
I was
very,
with
very cool.
2 young ladies at the time. And
Oh,
I felt
wow,
like
Matt.
a real man.
I'm sure that must have been a high point for you.
All right, so this Rivian, like I have been wanting to drive it forever and haven't had the chance, but I love the design so much.
You like the headlights.
I like the headlights. I like the shape. For me, the interior is also like extra winter class. It reminds me of like a modern version of an old Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah, I can totally see
that.
that.
It's got the plaid carpets. It doesn't have a front bench, but it's pretty open up there. And so I basically drool over them every time I see them on the road. I look at them, follow them every time they're on BAT, or I search for them on Auto Trader. They always are too expensive for me to really consider getting. But now I've driven one, and I was pretty disappointed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What was...
Why? The software is just not there. For example, satellite radio is so great because it uses a network of satellites and not the internet.
Yes.
However,
in
an effort to save money, Rivian does not have a satellite receiver. They use the internet to give you streaming satellite radio. So, I'm leaving for work one morning early, and I listen to Bloomberg radio all the way in so I can get informed.
You're in the zone.
Yeah. And it's like no internet found. And it takes me like 15 or 20
Spooling.
minutes
that's
halfway
so
to
distracting.
work before I finally get enough internet to listen to the radio.
Yeah. No, that's terrible. That's not good. And that sets the tone probably for the full experience of when you're in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like annoyed that you didn't hear what you wanted.
It's just ghetto, I mean, for a $90,000 vehicle, which it ends up being if you buy the good model and dress it up, that's not acceptable. The other thing is, I don't know about previous versions, but this 2.0 comes with a key card.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a fan of the key card.
No key fob, just like a credit card size thing. And I thought at first, that's cool because I'll just put it in my wallet and I'll never even think about it.
Sure.
That doesn't work. You can't have it in your wallet or in your pocket.
To,
it has to literally be on the center console.
Yeah.
And that's just like, why, at that point, why not have an actual key?
Right.
That goes into an ignition.
You might as well, yeah.
And then I realized later it also causes problems when you want to lock the car, there's no lock button.
No.
So even if you walk away, or at least when I walked away with the key in my pocket, it never locked.
It's
the
confusing.
handles
that happened to me too.
Normally flat, they stick out. They stay out.
That's not a good look. And it's an invitation for other people to come and open the door.
It says this car is not locked. And then so I Googled it, tried to figure it out. I guess if you're an owner, you can order a key fob for extra money.
What about an app?
Yeah, you can do the app, and I imagine you have to be an owner to do that. So as a test driver, I wasn't able to do that. But I guess you would if you owned a car. It did say you could hold the key up on the B pillar, and that would lock the doors.
Yes, I remember doing that when I did the drive.
Well, I couldn't make it work.
It really, you had to like hold it just. It's one of those things where you have to hold it just right and hold it there for a minute. It's not intuitive. It's not easy. It's not quick.
Yeah.
And also, what happens when you're wearing gloves and you're fumbling, or it's cold out, or it's raining? It's the last thing I want to do. Be standing there with a little card trying to lock or unlock the car.
When you're introducing a new vehicle, you want to exceed expectations, especially if it's, a $90,000 vehicle.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why you would design and put out a new vehicle that's not good.
I know. This is
why do a bad job of it?
I know. And philosophically, this is the problem that I've always had with electric startup car companies, which is that they seem to believe that because they're doing something brand new that is quote unquote good for the environment, they should get a pass on basic usability and basic practicality. Like somehow we should overlook these annoyances and problems just because we know, we're virtuous now because we're buying an electric vehicle. That doesn't work for me.
The design is amazing. Like one of the
No.
good things they do is they put a really nicely illustrated picture of the outside
Which
of the
is
vehicle
cool.
on the inside of the vehicle. So you're like,
Yes.
oh, I'm driving this. It looks
Yes,
great. Yeah.
which is cool. And like that can be tailored. Like I was speaking with the Rivian folks in Monterey, and they had a special like, Pebble Beach version of their interior, which did look really cool. And they're, very proud that you can customize that drawing to match your car. That's really cool. But that should be like the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the car has to actually be working.
And like intuitive. And so the turn signals, when you try and cancel the turn signal, it just turns on the opposite turn signal.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And it's got these little screens like a Kia or a Hyundai. When you're switching lanes, it shows you what's next to you, which is great, but it's so small and hard to see that it's useless. There's just so many places where I feel like they could improve, and I wish they already had before they charged that much money, because otherwise, why don't I buy an EV9, which is like...
We always go back to that.
Yeah.
We always go back to the Kia EV9,
Yes.
Sorry,
that's
right. Yeah,
That's right.
I'm like,
EV,
of course, we're
the
always
Hyundai
going back
version is
there.
the Ioniq 9, but it's I think the Kia is
I agree, and for this, what is this, $90,000 or so?
Yeah,
it's too much. It has to be better. What do you think about how it drives?
It drives okay, but it just wasn't knocking my socks off. And if you put it, I figured a lot of people don't like the way it drives because they probably put it in sports mode, which lowers the suspension to the second to last level. And then since you're there and looking at it and seeing sport, you probably push all the way down to low. Of course. And then on, normal American streets, which, need a refresh, it's a horrible experience. Yeah. So what I ended up doing halfway through my week with it is putting it on the highest setting for driving, which improves,
rideability.
Yes,
but not range.
It improves the ride over the Bronx River Parkway or the West Side Highway, but it doesn't improve handling, obviously, and it doesn't help your range. So I don't care that much about those things when I'm driving a big truck. I like to be high up, and it does that really well, but just not something I'm willing to pay a lot of money for.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've seen a couple of my neighbors who used to drive Teslas around the neighborhood. They have now switched to Rivians, and I think that is because of sort of the politics around Elon Musk. So Rivian has emerged as maybe like a viable alternative to people who don't want to be seen to be supporting Elon.
I'm Matt Miller along with Hannah Elliott. You're listening to Hot Pursuit. We have more coming up after this. This brings me to what I am most excited about, and that is the Scout. Have you spent any time looking at the Scout?
No.
So the Scout, for me, it checks so many boxes. The problem is it's so far off that we don't know what it's really going to be like. But it is an actual body-on-frame truck. So it will have the rugged usability of like a Tahoe or an Expedition, right? And it looks big. It's going to be bigger than the Rivian, which I like. Some people will think that's too big.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Because the Rivian itself is a 7-passenger vehicle.
Right. But I mean, those 7 passengers are sitting pretty close together.
Yeah, they're kids.
So
they're children.
Hopefully I hope there's a little bit more interior room. I love the design of the Scout. It looks really cool. And because I'm in the Rivian, I spent a lot of time looking at the Scout on the website. And it can have a range extender. So they're promising now at least 350 miles of range, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
By the time it comes out, I hope it's even more. And you can buy a little motor. You can option a little motor in there that's an e-rev. So it doesn't drive the vehicle, but it charges the battery. And they say that will lift the range to 500 miles in total. So it's a truck. It's an SUV. It has hopefully decent to massive range, and it looks imposing and can hold a lot of child seats.
And we should say that this is the American automotive startup that was founded in 2022, but is now backed by Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So it's got some serious backing. It might actually happen.
Well, and it's tied closely to Rivian, right? Because Volkswagen owns a significant stake in Rivian, and they've said that they're going to use Rivian technology on the Scout. So if you like some Rivian technology, which, by the way, is also sorely lacking, right? Because they have a 400-volt architecture. It's like using a really thin hose to try and squirt a lot of water through. But this Scout will be 800-volt architecture, so it'll charge much faster than the Rivian.
And that's what VW is using throughout basically all of their platforms, are trying to get throughout the company. I mean, it actually looks cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm pretty excited. They'll offer obviously a truck and an SUV version. For me, I've found recently that the pickup truck doesn't offer that much utility. The most I'm doing is towing like a motorcycle on a boat, so I'm not putting anything in the bed. I just want now this is one of the problems. I do want 3 rows, and I think
because for your kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For my kids, for my mom, for the dogs, if I ever get some. So they don't yet have a 3-row version, but I can't imagine they don't try and cash in on a suburban competitor.
I was just going to, you know what this is making me think of? How's the Escalade doing? The Escalade EV.
Well, no, the Escalade EV is way too expensive. It's like $150,000.
It is, but we liked it, right?
I mean, I love the look of it. It has obviously a lot of room. I felt it's the first time that I really felt a vehicle was too heavy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, which I was like, wow, this really steers amazing.
Maybe I'll have another go. Like the Escalade and the Hummer I love because of their range. They're so huge and imposing. They're just rolling houses.
Yeah.
But the price of the Escalade IQ leaves me out. Even an Escalade ESV, like with a gas-powered engine.
Well, you don't play in the NBA. I mean,
exactly.
If you did,
it's not the right look.
You're not.
I think if they don't have an EV version, I'm just going to go with a Suburban, like a Chevy Suburban.
Yeah.
They still end up being pretty expensive once you put the 6.2 liter V8, but I'll have to have that because I wouldn't be able to live with myself and the smaller displacement just to save a few grand. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like there's no real competitor. I am going to drive the Ford Expedition. What do they call the big version? The
King Ranch. King Ranch?
The King Ranch and the Platinum and the Basic all come in an extra, like a mega version, and they call it like the Expedition Mega, but I can't remember.
Oh, you know what? That's so funny you mentioned that because I'm doing a big assignment on Texas in October, and I'm going to take a huge road trip, and I'm going to have a big Expedition King Ranch for the road trip. So this might work out very well for us because I'll have some thoughts, I'm sure.
Wait, are you going to actually go to the King Ranch? Because there is a real King Ranch in Texas.
No. Maybe I should. That'd be a great idea, actually.
Okay, so I just looked it up. The long version of the Expedition is called the Max.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm going to try it out. I've been super impressed lately with Ford and Lincoln vehicles, especially the interior and the sort of luxury of them. But again, this is going to have just a 3.5 liter V6, and
nobody knows.
They haven't made any noise about putting out a bigger motor. And there's no hybrid version. Like, I feel like if we're going to live in the Trump era and we're going to deregulate everything and cancel laws and stuff, why doesn't Ford put a 6.2 liter V8 back in their trucks and their SUVs? Like, CAFE standards are getting thrown out. Nobody needs to buy EV credits anymore. Like, they're saving.
Jim Farley, are you listening?
There was a story, David Welch and Keith Naughton put out a story last week that Ford has saved $1.5 billion by no longer buying those carbon credits. So
yeah, you might as well
put the big engine.
Yeah, it would definitely sell. You're not alone, Matt.
All right, that's it for this week. What have you got coming up?
There are a couple cool car things happening in LA this weekend. There's a show in Long Beach. My friends from Texas, actually, that do the hand-built show. It's a big motorcycle show.
Yes.
They're doing a similar one in Long Beach this weekend, so I may find myself there. And then, like I said, next week, at the end of the week, driving to Denver.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm actually going to drive the new Ducati X Diavel S.
Oh.
So it's Ducati's.
What does that mean? Which one is that?
It's Ducati's big muscle bike, but it's a feet-forward cruiser.
Oh,
so,
no way.
No rear sets on this. I'm pretty excited about that. I actually owned an X Diavel and like 2 or 3 regular Diavels in the past.
Cool.
So I'm pumped about that. Plus, speaking of car shows, my buddy Philip is having his Turtle Invitational.
Oh, cool.
In Bedford at the end of
the
month.
Are you going?
I'm going to go, and I may even speak on a panel.
Oh, good.
There, if I
okay,
get it
great.
approved by the brass here at work. So yeah, there's a lot of, and like I said, I'm going to drive that Expedition Max and see if it'll be big enough for my family.
Let's find out. So that does it for this week's show. Remember to follow and subscribe to Hot Pursuit on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen. You can also send us your comments. Please send us your comments. Email us at hotpursuit@bloomberg.net.
And check out Hannah's columns and stories on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg Business app or the terminal, if you're lucky enough to have one of those. Go there for car reviews, events, and stories that you won't find anywhere else. Find it all at Bloomberg.com/pursuits/autos. I'm Matt Miller.
And I'm Hannah Elliott. We'll be back in your podcast feed again next week.